Hi everyone. Do you identify as an empath? And do you find yourself feeling very drained a lot of the time and feeling like you're giving so much, but nobody's listening to you, nobody's accepting your help how you want them to accept your help? Well, today I'm going to talk about 3 ways for empath identified people to keep themselves energized, vibrant, and alive. My name is Lenora Lennon, and I help folks shift into a paradigm of possibility. Let's get started. The first way to stay energized and enlivened as an empath identified person is to start to regularly remind yourself that we are all responsible for our own happiness. We are all responsible for our own happiness. As an empath type of person, we have a tendency to often ignore our own needs and often unsolicited give so much of ourselves to others. And we feel like this is a good thing, and it can be a good thing, but not when it's to the detriment of our own health, well-being, aliveness, and inspiration for our own life. This is twofold. This is kind of a twofold awareness to begin to have, is that others are ultimately responsible for their own happiness, and then also we are responsible for our own happiness. And a thing to be aware of as an empath is that sometimes we overgive, and again, unsolicited, and then we end up feeling resentful or underappreciated. So we have to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves first and then to give. And that brings me to the second very important point for empaths to be aware of, to keep their aliveness, their vitality high and vibing, is to make sure when we do give, to give from an overflowing cup. So that kind of ties in with this first point of taking full responsibility for ourselves first. So we need to make sure that we're doing for ourselves the things we need to keep our energy up, to keep our vibe high. For example, myself, I need to be eating relatively well. I still need to enjoy my treats. I'm a treat lover, and I don't like to deny myself that. But I need to be eating well. I need to be exercising. I talk about that a lot on my channel. So important to keep our bodies strong and healthy through movement, whatever type of movement works for you. There's so many kinds, and I often say, you know what, doesn't even matter if you love, if you can't find something that you love, just find something you can tolerate and make the best of it. That's what I do. Because what can happen is, if our cup isn't full and we're giving, what ends up happening is, I'm sure you can identify with, it feels as though we're being pulled in, pulled over, dragged down. And often people aren't even asking for this. Although what can happen is people tend to, start to get to know that you're always available for them, and might start to expect that from you. So there can be some pushback from others when we start to leave enough space for our own nurturing, to nurture ourselves. So, but it doesn't mean that we can't still be there for people. Instead, what we want to make sure is our energy is filled. And, from the cup, you can think of your body as the cup. And then when we're full and healthy and taking care of ourselves, what happens is it just automatically flows out of us. And even without necessarily trying, we are automatically helping others around by being a stand, a presence of high vibes, goodness, unconditional love, and compassion. And when you've been around those type of people, they, even if maybe you're in a not so great mood and you're not showing them that they're enlivening you, you can feel it right away when you're around someone who's giving authentically from that overflowing cup, instead of feeling dragged down and doing their best to accommodate you. So you want to be that stand for self-care, self-love. Like my teacher Anita Morjani always says, love yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. So do whatever it is that you need for yourself to give from that overflowing cup. And if you don't know, I'm going to post a meditation at the end of this video that can help you tap into that inner awareness and set you on. All you need to know is your next right step. You don't need to know the whole picture. You just need to know what your next right step is in each moment. The third thing that empath folks must be aware of in order to keep their cup full is to be aware of what kind of content you're consuming and how much content you're consuming. Of course, all of us need to be aware of this. We're all human, even those of us on a spiritual awakening path. We're still human. We still fall prey to these kind of addictive behaviors that soothe us and or give the illusion of soothing us from the struggles that it takes to be a human. And absolutely consuming content for many decades now has been a thing for humankind, but it is even obviously has increased exponentially since the digital explosion. So a couple of examples how I use this in my life. So I don't consume news for the most part. In a yoga teacher training that I took, was given the instruction or the consideration that the news that I need to know will come to me. I don't need to be constantly keeping up to date with news, which, that philosophy is so prevalent in our culture that we need to know what's going on. We need to stay on top of all the top stories. Well, the thing is, we are now, the top stories for the entire planet are, in our pockets at any given time. And of course, the top stories, they're not the top stories, they're the top worst stories. They're the top traumatizing stories. They're the top depressing stories. So see if you can start to wean yourself off of news if you are a news consumer. Maybe try to just check in once a week or whatever kind of scaling back that is palatable for you. You don't want to go cold turkey if you're really into keeping up with the news. Also, I personally enjoy animal videos. So I do watch a lot of animal videos, but what I've noticed is that there can be some animal compilations where ignorant people are featuring animals in a situation that they think is funny and is actually quite abusive and awful to witness. So for folks that are super sensitive like me, so what I tend to do is I don't watch the compilations anymore. I have a couple of content creators that I know put out compassionate content with animals that respects the life of the animals. So those are just a couple of ways that personally I have started to become aware of the content that I consume for my leisure time. So be aware, start to become more aware of the content you're consuming, and of course how much of it, all of us know this, do we need to scale back on our content, and how can we, tap into our inner loving parents, inner loving guidance to start to be more responsible with the amount and what type of content we are consuming. So that does it, folks. That are 3 ways for us high vibe, compassionate, very sensitive, empathic type of folks to start to take our power back and to allow ourselves to be less bogged down by these sensitivities that we have, and nurture ourselves and take care of our needs so that we can be a stand for goodness, a stand for unconditional love, and a stand for freedom and love in our world, because goodness knows we need you right now. We need you. We need you to be healthy. We need you to be happy. We need you to be free, joyous, and glorious. And you need to take care of yourself so that you can be a stand for that and be that change. It is, we hear that so often, that quote from Gandhi, be the change that you want to see in the world. And that is what you have to do. And sometimes it can be lonely. It can feel like no one else around you is doing that. And that may be true, but it doesn't mean that you can't be that stand. So take good care of your beautiful, beautiful selves, and we will see you in the next video. If you like this video, please please subscribe. It really helps my channel and for me to develop and become more of a stand for goodness in our world. And here is that video, that meditation I was talking about, if you need some support in knowing what your next right step is. Have a beautiful day. Mwah.